Croeso pawb to the January sale PSN sale. Nadolig llawen a blwyddyn newydd dda. Now I hope you've got some money left over from buying presents, or Santa's brought you some money, because this is a huge sale, and there's probably something you'll want to pick up in it. It took a while, but I've gone through the sale and I found some really cool games that you can save a load of money on. So if you like the sound of that, subscribe, and you'll never miss a good deal again. You're welcome here anytime. This sale ends on the 4th of January, so that'll be your last day to pick up these deals. Okay, let's look at the games. First up is 1979 Back to Midway. It was released in 2021, so it's only a year old, and it's on at least a 70% discount for the price of £4.79 or £3.99 with PS Plus, which is the cheapest I've ever seen it and a really great deal, especially for a VR game. This scrolling shooter game has move controller support, and it's a modern take on the old school series, where you get to play the classic 2D gameplay with newly added immersion zones where you take control inside the aircraft cockpit, which is awesome, especially if you've got a PSVR headset. This game features 16 story levels, 64 missions, 24 immersion zones, and 200 upgrades. Now this really surprised me because this old school series has been going a while, but for them to do a VR version of it is really innovative, and I mean that. They don't shake up legendary series like this very often, so for them to go out on a limb and do a VR version adds so much more to the game experience, and I think it's a really cool idea. If you're a fan of this series, or side-scrolling shooters, or you like the sound of it in VR, definitely take a look at it, because it's a very different game, and they should be rewarded for trying something different. Next up is a puzzle game, Agent A, A Puzzle in Disguise. This game was released in 2019, so it's 3 years old, and it's on a 95% discount for the crazy low price of 79 pence, which is the cheapest I've ever seen it, and a really great deal. In this game, as a stylish secret agent, it is your mission to infiltrate the enemy spy Ruby LaRouge's secret hideout and put a stop to her evil plans. It features a quirky 1960s art style, 35 environments, 100 puzzles, and 50 puzzle screens. I really like the look of this game. You know I'm a fan of puzzle games, but the art style is cool, and the story of being a spy and breaking into a secret hideout just really appeals to me. I think it's a cool little puzzle game at a really good price. So if you're a fan of puzzle games, definitely take a look at this. I'm tempted myself. And if you've never played a puzzle game before, then I would definitely recommend this one. It's really quirky and intriguing, and it's really cheap as well. So if you're interested and you haven't played a puzzle game before, why not take a chance on this? You'll probably really enjoy yourself. Our next game is American Fugitive. It was released in 2019, so it's 3 years old, and it's on a 90% discount for the low price of £1.79. Which is the cheapest I've ever seen it, and a really good deal. In this open world game, after being falsely arrested for the murder of your father, you break out of jail and avoid the police to find the real killer, getting your revenge by any means possible. This is a pretty simple story, but it's a pretty simple game as well. It's basically a modern remake of the original GTA games, so you have a top-down viewpoint with a big open world for you to run around in and just cause mayhem if you want to. But hey, this game's got a better story than the original GTA games, so if you're a big fan of the original GTA games, and you wanted someone to make a game like that again, this game's for you. You should definitely take a look at it. It may not be the most AAA of games, but hey, I'm sure it's a lot of fun to play, and if you like action games where you just get to run around and cause mayhem, then you'll probably really enjoy this game, so why not take a look? And hey, if you never played the original GTA games, then I doubt you've played a game like this, because they don't make games like that anymore. And this is definitely a throwback to those days. So if you're looking for a cheap little action game, you might want to take a look at this game. It may not be the game you were looking for, but it might be the game you need to play. So why not take a look? We have a VR game next, Apollo 11 VR. It was released in 2017, so it's 5 years old, and it's on at least a 50% discount for the price of £4.74 or £3.79 with PS Plus, which is the cheapest I've ever seen it for PS Plus users, and a pretty good deal. In this VR experience, you get to go on the entire Apollo mission from launch to docking to landing and walking on the moon, all with the actual NASA and astronaut radio chatter and interactive historical information on the lunar surface as well. So if you're a fan of the Apollo missions and you have a PSVR headset, you'll really enjoy this game. I've got it myself, and I absolutely loved it. The launch experience was really cool, and controlling the ship for docking in space was great and difficult. But not as difficult as landing the moon lander. God, that took me 45 minutes, and it was really difficult, but rewarding when I did it. I really don't envy the real astronauts. They only had one chance at it, and it's not easy. Anyway, this game's great, so if you've got a PSVR headset and you like the Apollo missions, definitely take a look at it. You'll really enjoy it. If you've got any interest in space, you'll probably enjoy yourself, so why not take a look? A Way Out is our next game. It was released in 2018, so it's 4 years old, and it's on an 80% discount for the price of £4.99, which is the cheapest I've ever seen it for non-PS Plus users, making it a pretty good deal for everybody. This is a third-person action adventure, and the ultimate co-op adventure, where you and a friend play as Leo and Vince, who reluctantly team up to escape from prison together, and the adventure continues as they must evade police while getting involved in an emotional story of adventure. On a side note, only one person needs to own this game for 2 people to play it, which is awesome. More games should do that. So if you've got someone that you play games with all the time, and you're always looking for 2-player games, this is a really good option, especially since only one of you needs to pay for it. That makes it dirt cheap. If you like story-driven third-person action games, then you'll love this. Check it out. Up next is Beholder 2. It was released in 2019, so it's 3 years old, and is on an 85% discount for the low price of £1.79, which is the cheapest I've ever seen it, and a really good deal. In this strategy game, which is set in a world governed by the authoritarian Prime Ministry, you join the ministry as an intern, but will you become a loyal member, try to climb the ladder to lead the ministry itself, or even subvert it for your own freedom? The choice is yours. This is a really cool game from a pretty decent series, and I really like the idea of it. Rising up the ranks or subverting it to take over a ministry and control an evil government from the inside out is a really cool concept, and it's definitely unique in games. So if you like the sound of this story, and you think you'll have fun playing it, definitely check it out. It's different, but really cool looking. And hey, if you've never played a game like this, then you might want to check it out. It's at a really good price, and it's got some very interesting concepts. So if you really like the sound of it, definitely check it out. But if not, don't worry, there's plenty of other games to look at instead. On a side note, the first game is also on sale for the same price. So if you've played the second one but not the first, or you want both of them, you might want to check that out too. We have a zombie game next, Deadlight Director's Cut. It was released in 2016, so it's 6 years old, and it's on an 85% discount for the price of £1.94, which is the cheapest I've ever seen it, and a really good deal. Especially as this edition includes improved gameplay, controls, and 2 new game modes as well. So you're getting the best version of the game, with some extra modes as well, which is great. This is a 2D survival adventure game, and this edition includes improved gameplay, controls, and 2 new game modes. This is set in a zombie apocalypse where you play as Randall Wayne, a father searching through a destroyed Seattle for his long-lost family. You must fight, sneak, and utilize your environment and limited resources in order to succeed, and maybe even find your family. This game had great reviews, and it seems pretty decent, and at this price, you're not investing a lot of money. So if you're looking for a cool little indie game, you might want to think about this one. We have a puzzle platformer next, Degrees of Separation. It was released in 2019, so it's 3 years old, and is on an 85% discount for the low price of £2.39, which is the cheapest I've ever seen it, and a really great deal. In this game you play as Ember and Rhyme, who use their powers of fire and ice to manipulate the environment, and combine them to create wind, explosions, and more to solve puzzles along the way. It features a story written by Chris Avallone, and 2-player co-op as well, so I'm sure it's a really good game to play with a mate or a kid. I'm a big fan of puzzle platformers, and this looks like a really unique one, designed more around 2 players, but you can play it on your own, working together to solve the puzzles and progress the story. It just looks like a really cool game for fans of puzzle platformers. So if that sounds like you, why not take a look at this game? My gut feeling says it's really good, and you'll probably really enjoy it if you like this genre. And hey, if you've never played a puzzle platformer before, then I'm not sure if I'd recommend this one. You have a ton of options in this genre, and you can get a load of them for about the same price as this. Ones that are much more AAA, and ones that have much better reputations than this. This definitely isn't a bad game, so if you like the look of it, you should check it out. But you have so many options, you're not missing out if you skip this game. You can pick up others that you'll enjoy just as much, or more even, so don't worry about it. If you're short of money or you're not sure, subscribe and I'll help you find another puzzle platformer in another sale instead. We have a JRPG next, Dragonstar Varnir. It was released in 2019, so it's 3 years old, and it's on a 75% discount for the price of £4.99, which is the cheapest I've ever seen it, and a really great deal, especially for a JRPG game. They're usually a lot more expensive than this. This game is set in a world where witches are cursed to give birth to dragons, and you play as a witch hunter who becomes entwined with a group of witches and must team up with them to fight giant dragons, other witches, an evil empire, and the witch hunters you once served. This game has a really unique combat system, where when you're fighting, because you're witches and the like, you hover or float, which means there's multiple levels to the fight, and you can move your characters up and down between the levels as you take part in turn-based combat, which makes this a very unique combat system. So if you're a fan of JRPGs and you like the look of this one, or you like games with different combat systems, it's definitely worth a look, I think. The story seems intriguing as well. Basically, if you're a fan of JRPGs and you like something a bit different, why not check this out? You might just really like it. And hey, if you've never played a JRPG before, then I'm not sure I'd recommend starting with this one. It's a bit unique and different, so I'd probably say you're better off starting with a more generic one instead. There's usually tons of them around, and you can get some really good AAA ones on sale. So if you subscribe, you won't miss them when they come on sale. We're climbing the mountain next. Everest VR. It was released in 2017, so it's 5 years old, and it's on at least a 50% discount for the price of £3.99 or £3.59 with PS Plus, which is the cheapest I've ever seen it, and a really good deal. This VR experience has 2 game modes. In the first, you get to explore a virtual museum of the Everest mountain itself, with historical information and some pictures and audio as well, so it's a pretty educational sort of experience. But by far my favourite is the second mode, where you get to climb Mount Everest with a team of Sherpas to experience the summit for yourself, as if you're going on the adventure in real life. I own this game and I've completed it, and I have to say this is one of my favourite VR experiences. Mountaineering up Everest is really fun, with some amazing breathtaking views, and when you reach the summit, it'll blow your mind. The view is absolutely stunning, and it's just a really nice thing to experience. I mean, I'm never going to get my butt up a mountain in real life, so this is the only way I'm ever going to see the peak of Everest, and I really enjoyed it. I highly recommend it for anyone that likes VR, or if you want something that you can show your friends or family. Oh, they love this. It's just great to show people or to experience for yourself. Anyways, highly recommend it. If you like VR experiences, definitely take a look at it. I'm sure you'll love it. And hey, if you haven't played VR experiences before, this is a really good one to start with. It's a really nice, chill experience with some breathtaking views. If you're at all interested in VR experiences, definitely check this one out. I've played a few, and it's one of my favourites. Next up is my star by Graveyard Keeper Ultimate Collector's Edition. It was released in 2021, so it's only a year old, but it's a little older than that really, but not much. And it's on an 80% discount for the low price of £6.59, which is the cheapest I've ever seen it, and a really good deal. Especially as this edition includes all 3 DLC of the Stranger Sins, Game of Crone, and Breaking Dead expansions. So you're getting the complete version of the game with a ton of extra DLC included, which is really good. In this management game, you get to build and manage your own graveyard, balancing the books and expanding into entertainment events like witch burning festivals and fun stuff like that, while facing moral dilemmas of honouring the dead or making more profit by desecrating graves. I've had my eye on this game for a while. When it came out, it got rave reviews and tons of people played it and loved it, and I can see why. It's basically a Harvest Moon or Stardew Valley style game with a dark sense of humour and some really cool gameplay. And if that sounds as amazing to you as it does to me, you can see why I'm interested in the game. It's definitely a top tier game, and I've never seen it anywhere near this cheap. So if you're a fan of management games, or games like Stardew Valley, but you want something a bit different, then definitely take a look at this. If it's half as good as its reputation, you'll have an amazing time with this game, so why not take a look at it? And hey, if you haven't played a management game before, then I'm not sure I'd recommend starting with this one. It's not that it's a bad game or anything, but because of the sense of humour, it may not be for you. There are much more generic and also AAA ones around, so you could always pick up one of them instead, and you're much more likely to have a really good time without it being spoiled by your sense of humour not being what the game's is. But hey, if you like the look of this one, then don't listen to me. Take a look at it and pick it up yourself. Like I said, it's my star buy. Do yourself a favour and take a look at it. Otherwise, then subscribe, and I'll help you find another one in another sale. Up next is Peaky Blinders Mastermind. It was released in 2020, so it's 2 years old, and it's on a 90% discount for the low price of £1.99, which is the cheapest I've ever seen it, and a really good deal. This puzzle game is based on the TV series and set in Birmingham during the aftermath of the Great War before the start of the famous TV show. You get to control the key members of the Shelby family, reset in time and changing each character's actions in order to finally succeed in each mission. So you guys know I like puzzle games, and this looks like a really good one. So if you're a fan of the TV show and you like puzzle games, you should take a look at it. You'll probably really enjoy it. And if you haven't played many puzzle games before, then maybe you should take a look at this game, especially if you like the TV series. I'm sure you'll have a good time with it, and it's not a bad price either. So why not check it out? You might just find your new favourite game genre. Star Wars Squadrons is our next game. It was released in 2020, so it's 2 years old, and it's on an 85% discount for the price of £5.24, which is the cheapest I've ever seen it, and a really good price for a really good game. This game is fully playable with or without VR, and it has no move controller support, which is fine because they're not really suited to piloting ships anyway, so don't worry about that. In this game you get to pilot both Empire and Rebellion ships in a story told from both sides of the war, as an Empire pilot tries to defect and join the Rebellion. It features online 20-player multiplayer, new multiplayer custom matches, B-Wings and TIE Fighter Defender ships added in as well. So they've added in some free extra DLC lately, which is great, and they seem to be supporting the multiplayer a lot as well with new modes to play. If you like fighter pilot games, especially if you love Star Wars, you'll really enjoy this game, and hey, if you own a PSVR unit, it'll be one of the best games you've ever played. You should definitely pick it up if you like the sound of that. And if you've never played a fighter pilot game before, then this is a pretty good deal. If you're a Star Wars fan, I would definitely say try it out, especially if you've got the VR headset. You'll absolutely love it. I've played some of it and it's unbelievably cool. Definitely worth looking at. Why not check it out? And the last game I have for you is WRC 10 Deluxe Edition PS4 and PS5. It was released in 2021, so it's only a year old, and it's on an 80% discount for the price of £12.99, which is the cheapest I've ever seen it, and a really great deal, especially as this edition includes the Arena Panzerplatte Super Special Stage, the Mitsubishi Lancer Evo 5, an additional historical vent, and a career starter pack as well. So not only are you getting the full game, you're getting some decent extra content as well, which is really good. This rally game includes the new 2021 rallies of Estonia, Croatia, Belgium and Spain, 6 historical rallies, 120 special stages, 52 official teams, and 20 legendary cars as well. It features 2-player local multiplayer and 8-player online multiplayer as well. So you're getting a pretty new version of WRC with a ton of content and some really nice modes as well. If you're a fan of WRC, then you should definitely take a look at this, especially as it's a newer version on a really good sale with some extra content included as well. It's a great deal if you're a fan of these games. And hey, if you've never played a WRC game before, then I wouldn't recommend starting with this one, because if you get the older ones, you can get them way cheaper than this, and if you're not a fan of WRC, then you're not going to mind having some of the older content instead. So if you like the sound of that instead, then take a look around this sale, or subscribe, and I'll help you find a cheaper one in another sale instead. And that's all the games I have for the January sale PSN sale. I hope you guys are enjoying Christmas Day, and you've got some really cool games to play. And I'm sure all the money you've saved on games so far came in really handy to buy extra Christmas presents for your mates and family. Anyway, I hope you guys have a great time. Don't get too drunk, don't spend too much of your money, and I'll see you guys in the next sale. Anyway, what did you think of the games I picked? Did I pick good ones or did I pick bad ones? And what about the Star Buy? Did it deserve it? Or should some other game have got it instead? Leave all your complaints down in the comments and we can talk about it later. Anyway, I hope you guys found some games you're interested in, but more importantly I hope you guys saved a lot of money. I'll see you in the next sale. Au revoir.